years, like for you, people continued to have, more outdoor activity, which I think was probably fine as long as people weren't like all on top of each other. Is the places where, you're sitting, in tight quarters, I'm not going to go to the movie theater. I'm just probably never going to go back to it. I'm just never going to.
This. No, even though it was like that, this thing has two sides to me. Like I said, I could find two sides of anything. Number one, we go to the store, we're touching the phone, the keys, people picking their nose, the homeless people are touching.
Yeah, that's always been happening.
And so I did see where, you know what, we have a problem. We have a sanitation problem.
Yeah.
Gather, like think about a market back in the day would be an outdoor market. I only touch what I buy. Now I have to touch all these doors and touch all the packages, and I'm touching the item and putting it back. And I see
it brought all of that to the forefront. Like we were suddenly like so aware of, oh my God, when you go to the produce section in the grocery store, not only do you have all these customers touched it, but all of the people that picked it, and then it got moved, and then so that there's all.
And we're nasty, and we're touching raw meat,
and we're shoving our hands in our pants,
and we're and doing all kinds of stuff. So I definitely saw that, but then I would travel to South Carolina, and my mom would be like, "You gotta wear a mask." Like, so not everybody in my bubble was feeling it. But I think there's another thing that was going on during that time that we also have to address, because not only were you being isolated because of the virus, they made sure to bring about racial tension and propaganda during that time as well. So here you got, funny thing, I was coming out of the house one day, and my roommate, she had a man cutting the lawn. It was a white man cutting the lawn. And when I went outside, I saw and I was like,
you sure you're white? What's going on?
I was like, wait a minute. I don't have to be nervous. I was like, look what they did from watching these videos, because I hope people understand this too. Like when I open my phone and on Facebook or whatever, when I go online, I get advertisements about hair weave. I don't have no weave. I don't wear it. I've been natural since, for going on 10 years. I see stuff about Nikes or things that are for Black people. So even if I get them YouTube shorts, it's all something to do with a Black person being beaten by a policeman. So I'm being bombarded with crimes against Black people. And I said, you know what? On the other side, I know I would talk to certain people and they would be seeing crimes where Black people attack the old person. And I was like, this is the algorithms that they're talking about. And they're taking this time and opportunity to promote the worst racism possible since, good Lord, I thought, when it came to Eddie Murphy and things like that, like we've already talked about all this, but somehow they've reintroduced a lot of issues to the public and made it now, like I remember Beach Street, Electric Boogaloo, things like that, where people, it was Asian, Puerto Rican, Black, white, like all these people in the movies. And now it's like movies are segregated, the news is segregated, everything. So there was more than just the virus isolating us, because I know it's certain times now where I tell people, I'm like, don't you know, like people are scared that they're going to be called a racist or that something's going to happen. So, white people out here like this and Black people over here like this. And we then it's like, if you got on a mask or don't have on a mask, everybody, they found every way possible to make sure that we are just like, don't talk to me, don't touch me. I remember I walked past a man in the chip aisle and he damn near fell into the chips. I was like, you get that nervous when you come to the store, you shouldn't come to the store. You need to stay home and get your groceries delivered if you feel that unsafe.
Yeah.
But there's a lot going on. But traveling from state to state, I would see a lot of different stuff. But for us, it introduced us to the best time of our lives. I live in Florida all this time. I've probably been to the beach twice until 2020.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, because I was busy working.
Yeah. And so that leads me to the duality part of all of this. It's like, for me, it felt like there was a lot of like oppression, and it was a terrible time for me because I had lost my son at the end of 2020. And so not only did I lose my son, but I didn't have I didn't have that, immediate family around you, friends, nobody was socializing. We were literally being told you're not allowed to. I mean, this was the peak of COVID. And so, obviously it's been a year and a half now for me, and I've definitely done a lot of shifting and gone through a lot of different stages of this grief. Uh, I have a much more wide open point of view and ability to, I don't know, as I'm learning to accept his death, I'm seeing, I'm allowing myself to see some really beautiful things that have happened as a result of all this is what I'm trying to say. There is always a duality. There's light and there's dark. And in this, I think everybody had to go home and figure their inner parts out. And, how can you do that if, you're commuting an hour plus each way and you see your kid for frickin' 5 minutes a day? It's like, shove something quick in their mouth, get them in the bathtub, get them to bed, do that whole thing. Look at the statistics now. Not a whole lot of women went back to work. I mean, the numbers have really dwindled, and they're doing other things to create other kinds of income. We're living in a world where, yeah, you don't have to like follow the corporate byline and just, jump on that wagon. When I graduated high school and I had the choice of going to college or just getting in somewhere and getting a job, getting a steady paycheck, it was all about like just creating a security. And, this was what Americans did. I just went and did all of that. No, I think more people now, because of this time that they spent soul searching, figuring out who their authentic self was, aside from being this like worker bee drone. There's so many people I know that have launched new careers, who have, left long-term careers, and, they're letting their authentic light shine. And this is like this podcast, and what you and I have talked about, where we're going to take this, has a lot to do with me. This is part of me figuring out how to do that. Like, how do I help the healers? I'm all about like helping the helpers. And I want to create a platform to bring people on that could talk about the things that they're doing and the ways that they're healing. And if there's other people out there that are watching it that might be able to connect with them and find some value in it for their own growth, because any good healer isn't going to offer you services that, give you some kind of magic pill. They're going to teach you how to heal yourself. Right. And I think we've all been getting a really good lesson on that, because it's hard, it's hard to face the shadows internally if you've always got like the stream going, you're getting up, you go to work, you do this, it's this routine where there's just never any space for that. And all these people that were working in office environments, like in California, unbelievable amount of people went home to work. I mean, let me tell you, another really great thing that happened was, you all know what kind of traffic we have here.
Oh, wow.
The freeway was a blast. Full confession, I was one of those terrible people. I was like, oh, I could go 80, 90 miles an hour on this. And there's like nobody. It was literally like the Autobahn. It was so amazing. And of course, now it's all back to, the usual way too many cars, way too many people, and not enough, lanes on the freeways to hold them all. But many companies, like the one that I work for, we remained remote. So, it wasn't everybody. So there has been, a lot less strain on the environment. I think that's been another positive thing. And, I do worry a lot about women in isolation that are victims of domestic abuse being in situation. A lot of times a woman in that situation, the only break she gets is while her boyfriend or her husband is away at work. And if they're working from home, that's why we've had such a big, jump up in numbers as far as domestic violence. There's just more people at home together for longer periods of time. So
Don't really like each other that much.
what's that?
And they don't really like each other that much.
Well, and then it becomes that much more clear because it's like, you're in my face all the time. Are you ever leaving this house?
That's exposing a whole nother issue. Like, why did we get married? Yeah.
Well, Kay, you get lucky because your hub is a truck driver, right? So how has it been for you as far as in Reno area in Nevada with isolation? Or do you not want to talk? Maybe she's out. Oh, there she is. Hi, there's your beautiful face.
All right. Nice necklace.
This is my beautiful Viking goddess friend.
So we got to unmute.
Oh, yeah, you got to unmute her.
There you go. Okay. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm going to go outside because the sun finally went on the other side of my house. So
look at your flag blowing in the wind. How pretty.
I have one in the front too. It actually said in my lease that I have to fly an American flag. Like I don't have to, but it was in my lease that I am allowed to fly American flag. And I was like, oh, that's the thing people are taking out of leases. That's kind of weird.
That was in your lease? How weird.
Yeah. We're allowed to be patriotic. So,
okay.
yeah, and,
interesting.
Say you can't fly flags of certain types, so like homeowners associations and whatnot.
Oh, right. Okay. Like a Confederate flag would not be okay.
I mean, the last place I rented out here, and it made me say I couldn't have an alligator in my lease. So I mean, that's too.
Gators rule.
I was like, obviously somebody's had a gator in this trailer before or something weird. I don't know. Maybe it was just like a downloaded lease. Like a lease.
Like a Florida.
So I don't know. Reno was very strange during COVID. You know me, Leslie, I'm like, fuck you and your vaccine, and I'm not gonna wear a mask, and you're not gonna make me do anything. I just won't shop here. So I went and I had my groceries delivered if I didn't want to like adhere to the mask policy.
Yeah.
I tried to shop at like a local owned stores and support small businesses that were really struggling through COVID. I think that's where we noticed that a lot of places closed, just restaurants, little mom and pop shops, art places. We canceled our gym membership because they made you wear a mask the whole time. So we were like, I'm not going to exercise in a mask, Don't need my cucumber. But my dog is like, every one of these plants produces food. I know it does, Mom.
Yeah.
Here's the Pip. Come here, Pip. Come on.
Yeah, that's been a really sad thing, is to watch all the businesses close down.
Yeah.
And it just seems very convenient that you know, who do you think this is benefiting? It's not, it's going to be the big box stores and the big giant corporations.
Well, Lowe's, Home Depot, CVS, they made it, Walmart, they did great,
Yeah, they always will.
Every time there's a hurricane or any tragedy, it's funny how Home Depot and Lowe's is the place to be. So,
so a lot of this, let's talk about some of the subjects. But Lisa, now you have a medical condition, so you couldn't wear a mask. I also have like an undiagnosed lung condition, and I'm this person where I don't mind wearing the mask, but I can't. I like 5 minutes into it, I'm just like, I can't breathe. So
fog up, I can't see.
I feel like my nose is collapsing. I don't know what it is.
Oh yeah.
I've hyperventilated, like got to the car and was like,
oh, and like I was telling Erica before we got on, today I'm having like some kind of allergy, my whole like itchy thing going on. I would put the mask on and have this like severe reaction on my skin too. So I was breaking out in these weird rashes.
Yes.
So I'm pretty grateful that that part of it's over. But I'm still like, I want to wear a mask if I'm in a room and people are like all on top of me, I'll put it on for that brief period of time. But I could never like sit at a concert and just sit and watch music.
I think the thing
with the
I
mask.
had a hard time. I had a hard time. I like to look at people's mouths when they speak to me.
Yes.
So I almost like in a weird way went like deaf when I was talking to somebody in a mask and they were in a mask, and like I couldn't read their facial cues or if I was in danger or if I felt like I could trust this person or and then we had a lot of local robberies where everybody was like wearing a black hoodie and a mask. So like we're gonna identify anybody like that,
what are you gonna do?
So there was some issues I had with the mask laws because of things like that, like there were crimes being committed under this like veil of safety that people were using to abuse people. And, that was a little, but I personally suffered a sensory issue, not being able to see people talk to me or smile at me or, have that. I didn't realize how much I relied on my visual cue of somebody speaking to me in person.
Yeah, I had no clue that I was that dependent on like body cues, just the language like expression.
Now, I'm watching your mouth while you're talking.
I felt like I just like you said, I felt like I went deaf, and I already have some hearing loss. In fact, I have to stop myself from shouting a lot of times because I think it's because I can't hear myself. So I find myself talking really loud.
Right.
And probably because you're in 3 dimensions at one time.
Oh, there's that too. There's that too.
I know I have double vision.
Well, I'm looking forward to a time when we can do a lot more telepathy.
I did want to say this too. Like, I am a person who is a germaphobe. I really don't like, coughing. I don't know. I worked for the CDC when Ebola did come across.
Oh wow.
He sent me to people's homes. The people who were on the plane and didn't get sick, they sent me to their homes to collect blood. So that's what I do. I'm a phlebotomist. I'm a mobile medic. I was, working.
Who knew? I didn't know that.
Worked in the lab at the VA hospital. So I'm a person who is funny about coughing and germs. But even when I went to people's houses for Ebola, I did not have to wear a mask. And
oh wow.
I do like fresh air a lot. especially if I'm riding a bicycle or jogging or it's really hot. I don't know why it felt like the mask was crushing me and I was hyperventilating. And I don't know if that's a thing of like maybe somebody who's agoraphobic or claustrophobic, or maybe
Yeah,
that was, I don't know what it was.
I get very claustrophobic. Didn't you get very claustrophobic, Lisa?
It was just no room for us. Like I said, the county would make us do it, but for the most part, if I could get away with, wherever I was, if I can get away with not wearing it, I don't want to wear it. But then people are nasty. So I go around people and they go, and I'm like, and I want to punch you in the face because you're the reason. Because I feel like a lot of people are, well, here's a thing too. There's a lot of people out here who are sick and you know damn well you're sick, but you took your raggedy self outside.
Yeah.
So it's your fault. Number two, there's people being forced to come to work. You remember when you used to call into work and they were like, please, can't you just come anyway? Please.
Oh my God. Every
Like,
time
I'm sick. No, but can you please? So there's that. Then there's what? I had a girl tell me I was out of leave. And I was like, well, just don't pay me. I don't give a damn. If I'm sick, I'm sick. I don't want to stay home. Or if I need to do something with my son, they need to expose this. This needs to be exposed. Leave people when they say they sick, even if they did go to the beach. Some of them gonna go to the beach. Some people like money and they want to go to work, but they're sick, and let them be sick. And I had realized when I was working, I have to have permission to be sick.
Yeah.
So when COVID, was happening, and they was talking about, oh, they got all these signs in the window about, help wanted. And people started complaining, people need to go back to work. And I said, why? They've been abused the whole time. Why should they have to go back? So I could just flip my fingers up. I don't know. I fuck these people and their jobs. Fuck them and their jobs and the way that they treat people like fucking slaves. And if they don't want to go back to work, then I'm all for it. Don't go back to work. Start a business. Because here's one thing. I have to just go on this rant. I just have to do it. You could be a person, sell some weed, braid some hair, and I'm gonna use the most ghetto thing, right? But she cooks and she babysits the girl next door, and Tawanda, let's call her Tawanda because I always use this little thing. And guess what? I could be this person who has a nice car, nice house, but at a skanky job, I get $25, $30 an hour, but I had to pay gas, tolls, car payment, car insurance. I got to pay for a babysitter. And then when I get to work, I got to buy breakfast, lunch, snacks, whatever. Guess what?
And the clothes that you got to wear, you got to buy clothes to wear.
And you got to wear certain clothes. So the girl who stayed home and braided hair and smoked a blunt today made more money than me anyway. So, and she was happy. And she had to get a quickie at noon. She even got a quickie in. I didn't get a quickie. So just like, screw these people, screw their jobs. And, when I see people having a little sticker that says, I dissent, I said, if you really fucking want to dissent, stop paying your rent, your mortgage, your light, your electric, your taxes. And that's a dissent to me. Other than that, put your little sticker down. I don't want to hear about it. Because if we really get to the point where we get out here and stop paying everything, they can't move all of us. They can't. So that's me being crazy. Can't help it. I had to get that one out because I really get to like fuck.
I remember being about like 10 years old and old enough to form some higher thoughts.
Yeah.
And I this stuff was going on with civil rights, women's rights. I was born in 1963, so I've seen some things.
Almost like
I remember thinking, what the hell? What the hell is wrong with all? Why doesn't everybody just stand up and walk out? Like, why are we even just putting up with all of this? Like, when does this end? When do you stop saying, oh, that's just so terrible? And we're still doing the same thing, like Roe versus Wade gets overturned and I see all the memes and it's like, burn it all down. Nobody's going to do any of that.
Yeah, burn it all down and take your ass back to work. Go ahead, clock back in because you dissent, but take your ass back to work. Anyway, it blows me away. It's like this, I don't know.
No, see that nobody has to actually dissent because there's memes.
Well, you know what?
And
I
it's
looked up
their
dissent.
release.
I looked
It's
up
their
dissent.
release.
Guess what dissent means? It just means to complain.
Well, I'm talking about like getting the freaking pitchforks out
Like,
and the torches and
yeah.
saying enough and like being an activist is what I'm talking about.
I gotta throw one more in there. Lisa, because my job just drove me crazy. That I remember one day I had flat seats, so I took extra long in the bathroom. When I got out, the young lady walked up to me and said, "Is that your lunch break?" I said, "No, I have flat seat today. I'm going to lunch, but I'll probably do it again later." Like, get out of my face.
Like, really? Do you want all the details?
When did we
be asking for information like for no reason?
Yeah.
And everybody just needs to
I feel like the bolts have tightened.
Just wash your hands. I mean, that would have solved the problem. I'm a germ too, and my son, he washes his hand every time he goes to the bathroom, and he's 17 years old. Do you know how rare that is? It's pretty rare.
It is. And in grown ass people, because okay, so I started hearing about COVID at the end of 2019.
Yep,
and I started buying a bunch of masks because I knew that they would be, I just had a feeling. I just kept telling everybody you should start stocking up on certain things. And I felt like something big was really coming, and it did. And it was like maybe a week or two when it really, really shut down in March. And look, I work from home. I have worked from home, I want to say 25, 30 years. So when everybody went home to work, they were all, "Oh my God, this is so weird. We don't know how to work." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is easy. This is great. You're going to love it. I promise." And so, here's me going into the office, maybe on a quarterly basis, maybe twice a year. And I didn't like going in there because, by the way, every time I would go in there, I would come home and get sick because I was in this enclosed corporate space with recycled air. And I remember COVID was a real thing. It was in the news. We knew all these restrictions were coming. We knew that things could be shutting down. I swear to you, ladies, I walked in. This was the corporate floor of my office, the corporate floor. Not a single corporate executive woman with bachelor's and master's, these are the people making the bucks. Not a single one of them washed their hands. And I stood there and I observed, I stood and I said, I noticed one and I thought, well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to just see. And I watched 8 women like do that whole like fake wash with just water and not really soaping up and washing, sanitizing themselves. So the last one, I just said, I just watched 8 women and I said, this is going to be something you really regret because next week they're going to shut this all down and you're going to have to learn how to wash your hands. And I walked out and I told my company, I said, I don't feel like I could ever step foot back in that office again. They forced everybody to get a vaccination. And I'm like, well, why would I need a vaccination? I have no intention of stepping foot in that, but there's no reason for me to. Like if there was an actual reason for me to do that, I could see it, but there was no reason for me to vaccinate when I was already cool. I was cool with my isolation. I had it down to a science. I'd been doing it for 30 years already. It wasn't hard to say no because nobody was sending out invites for social things. And why would I go do that in the middle of a epidemic? It's ridiculous. So now we'll see. I don't know if a year's going to come around and they're going to have some idea that because I might have to come in for one meeting a year that I should have a vaccination. Yeah. There's
Well,
a lot of companies are requiring that you get a vaccination.
yeah. I lived with 4 adults, my kid being 16. He went to school, my husband went to work, my mom worked at the VA hospital. She was forced to get vaccinated, and she's the only one in the whole house who was sick, like repeatedly, over and over and over again. They never tested positive for COVID. It was the strangest thing, but she was not healthy after she got vaccinated. So therefore, we were like, yeah, we'll take our chances with COVID. We had a friend who got it pretty bad. Like, he was hospitalized. They thought he was going to die. And he still said he wouldn't get vaccinated. Like, now, like, even having COVID and going through what he went through. So it's scary for everybody because, I mean, you never
The
know
thing
what
that's
the
concerning right now is that Pfizer with the RNA in it, they're saying that they told everybody that it's not putting DNA into your body. Well, guess what it is?
Yeah, of course it is. A little bit of research told you that a couple years ago. You know, I wouldn't trust a pharmaceutical company over anybody. I mean,
I don't know, like,
you could make me a pill and tell me to take it, and I would take that pill quicker than any pill that Pfizer offers me. That's for sure.
they have the highest number of they paid out the highest fines in criminal fines of any pharmaceutical company.
It's absolutely disgusting what they get away with, and they legitimately are just covered by liability clauses. It's so disgusting.
They can kill people and they get away with it every single day.
I have to take my son on Monday to get a meningitis vaccine so he can attend his senior year. And like, we actually know a child who died of meningitis, so we're just like, what choice do you make? You know, what's the decision?
That's actually been a thing working at the VA. I've seen a lot of people, I've seen more people with meningitis, and it's like the least talked about thing that we ever talk. We never talk about meningitis, but
it's true.
I have a little boy who died of meningitis 5 days before his like 3rd birthday or something.
Wow.
A rare form of it. So Adric's already had his first version of it. I guess this is his like adult booster, but I'm not letting the school or any clinic doing it. His doctor's doing it at his doctor's office. So I feel more comfortable knowing that he's getting what we're asking for and not like some agenda that is getting pushed on us, which is how our other doctors said they couldn't see us in person unless we got vaccinated. So we had to find a whole new family doctor. So far the schools aren't asking for a COVID vaccine, just the seniors have to have that meningitis vaccine to be seniors. So I guess that's like their.
There's certain vaccinations that I feel very comfortable with.
Right, ones that have been around for a long, long time.
Yes.
They have a really good track record. They prevent you from getting meningitis. Like those are you don't get it. Like you don't still get it and transfer it to people, like those are the like polio vaccine and the kinds that have been around for 30 years. I'm more comfortable giving my son and myself, for sure.
Well, I got the shingles vaccine, and let me tell you, I would much rather have the vaccine than get shingles.
So I watched my mom get shingles, like in her eye.
It can make you blind.
She definitely encouraged me to, because I've had chicken pox, to get the shingles vaccine. I'm not old enough yet. They don't consider me old enough yet, but I'm like, that's probably the last vaccine they're ever gonna get me to volunteer for. I'm telling you, I would cry right now if they tried to make me get a COVID vaccine. They're dragging me in there. I'm crying. I'm having an anxiety attack. Like, I'm gonna freak out and panic. So I got some work to do on that. If that's ever gonna happen.
I always thought I would just bribe the nurse. When it gets down to it, I'm like, look, how much?
You're so ghetto.
Yeah,
Just
how much money we talking here, girl, for you to put that needle
stop,
in?
stop at the ATM.
Yeah.
Well, we got Cash App now, girl. We got Cash App. You can Cash App.
Yeah, it's true. Venmo.
Girl, what you want? And for me.
Apparently,
Like that kind
apparently
of
up here when it comes to being vaccinated and you don't want to, and you can test it all the way and you can get your employer to sign paperwork that says that I've come to you and I've said I don't want to get this, but you're still requiring it, and you get people to sign paperwork all the way to the end. And then when you get into the area where they're going to give you the vaccine, as soon as they go to give you the needle, you stand up and claim assault and then call the police.
yeah, I would feel
Wow.
assaulted. Absolutely.
Wow.
That's the only way it's going down. You're dragging me in there and I'm kicking and screaming. So, I mean, that's just me and like the warrior in me. I'm not a guinea pig, but I feel like I'm an important part of I'm a part of the control group. So, like, we are important. We're important.
How strong we are.
I mean,
Because me and my son haven't had it, and everybody I know who's gotten shots has had it like several
exactly.
times. So I'm
Me,
like,
my
hey.
husband, my son, none of us have had it. And we've been careful. Like, we came back from Vegas. I tested myself before I went to see my therapist. You know, like, I've been cautious because I am unvaccinated, but I don't feel like that puts me at any bigger risk of transferring it to anybody, you know? So, I think you
Absolutely.
just don't go,
This has
don't
been
go-
an
don't
exercise
go well.
in guilt. Like, how can I guilt you and make you feel like crap for
Oh,
ever
dude, I
you
got
do what
told
I-
I deserve
till I
to
tell
die
you to do what I
so
say?
many
Yeah.
times. So many times. You deserve to die because you won't get that vaccine. Like, that is
Wow.
literally how people felt about it here. So I guess I was like, all right, then that's the hill I'm going to die on. And, you know, it kind of encouraged me not to get it, to be honest, with that type of attitude.
That type of attitude isn't just there, it's all over the place.
I like
It's
Kay.
here in Canada too.
I like Kay because this is me. You know, people used to watch American Idol. I refused to watch it because everybody was watching it. That's how I am. I don't want to do anything that everybody's doing. I don't want to do anything that you're trying to make me do.
You don't want to be
I'm
mainstream.
anti. How did I get in the
didn't watch an
military?
episode of Game of Thrones until like season 4, you know? I was
I'm
like,
anti-establishment and ex-military at the same time. So hey.
I just am anti anything that has to do with people.
Yeah. You know, I believe in that scripture. It says that the way is wide, you know, and so I always try to go the narrow.
Mhm.
So when I come to your house, I'm just gonna jump the fence. Okay, so I was kidding. I was just kidding.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And if I see that flash of red popping over my fence,
Yeah,
I go,
yeah. I don't want to
he's
get
here.
shot.
Let's go. Let's have some fun.
I'm even that person that put other on my gun license, like it says other. I refuse. Little anarchist.
I have been a rebel my whole life. My mom said my first words were, I can do it myself. And I have been doing it that way my whole life. So, yeah. I guess
You were
that's
born independent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Leslie, you tried to move us out of this topic. I think maybe one of us made a joke. It might have been me. I don't know. But you wanted to discuss the topics that we were going to talk about in the future. And
Yeah.
I love one of the things that I know that you talk about that I love is suggestibility.
Mm.
And
One of
I
my
want-
favorite subjects, of
I really
course.
want to, when we talk about that, I really want to clearly define suggestibility and show examples of suggestibility because I think this is something important. And I don't know why. I was in the 3rd grade and my teacher taught us about propaganda and she taught us about bandwagon and testimonials. And I'm like, did I really learn that in elementary school? And if I did, it has become a part of me to understand propaganda.
What a great teacher you had.
I I'm not sure. Maybe she just was going rogue or what. I don't know. Like, was it
I
just
love it.
too? But when I asked other people, they say they don't remember learning about it.
Oh no, that was not part of my third grade curriculum. I promise you that. But it was in my extracurricular process because those books were always lying around, and I always, I was a kid that was like, I don't know, in second grade, I was reading it like a 12th grade level, so it was nothing for me to read something like that. And it's sort of, that was my suggestibility, right? That was me being, I was exposed to something, whereas like, the ads and on the newspapers and on TV and in our schools and in our societies, all of those suggestible kinds of things that are out there. I was observing it, and I remember watching like these shows like Sunday Morning and 2020 and what was some of the other ones? There was some really, really good investigative type shows, and they would put up these things where they would show us how they would actually, encode things in these commercials. Like, talk a little bit, Erica, about like you wanting to suddenly buy like all this food and the chicken and that kind of thing.
Okay, first off, there were some wars around the time of your existence, right? Like you were little, I don't know, like the Korean
Yeah,
War.
it was Vietnam War.
So it was Vietnam and the Korean War at that time
So
too?
there was a lot of suggestible
So
things.
people don't really probably, a lot of my people don't remember that they had pictures of people, yellow people with big teeth and so that would make you feel away. Okay, so the part that was important to me is I was watching, it wasn't Breaking Bad, it's never Better Call Saul. And they
Yeah.
him working at Cinnabon. And then I'd be like, it would be over and I'm like, damn, I want to go to Cinnabon. And then the one guy, they're always going to the guy who's like the big mafia guy, and he's like working, he has a chicken place, and I'd be like, man, I want some fried chicken, like I could taste this chicken in my mouth. And I was starting to notice like, oh my God, it really is working. It's even down to the colors that they use on the sign, like the red and the yellow on the McDonald's side. So that's what the root chakra and the what is it? Not sacral, it's the, say it again.
I'm sorry,
Solar
which one?
plexus.
Yeah, the root. So that
The solar
mixes
plexus?
the root chakra and the solar plexus. So I gotta have it fast, and I want to eat now. Those two colors on the McDonald's and the Burger King sign.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that like we don't even know to the point where the signs that we're looking at have these things in them, or if they put a Coca-Cola in the back and they go, like, dang, I really want a Coke. Like these things really affect us.
I want some herbal essence shampoo, so you can have a big O.
Trying to have what she's having, right?
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, and see, there's a lot of sex.
All the messaging, like I remember in, growing up in the 60s, there was still a lot of suggestibility surrounding, a woman's role is in the home and raising children. And you've always got to look, I mean, did y'all watch Mrs. Maisel? She would literally take her makeup off and then get up and wake up and put her makeup on and get back in bed. So her husband thought she still looked that good,
What color was her pillowcase?
I don't think she moved. I think she just like stayed like a mummy in bed.
I did have a friend who did that. She was like, I never let my husband see me without the makeup, and she runs to the bathroom.
But I was thinking about like how COVID really cured me, like the isolation cured me of this compulsion that I always had of, I've got to have full face makeup. I have to be perfect I have to be wearing, all the right clothes, everything's got this. And that. You should see me when I go out now. I'm like sweats, leggings, shorts. I don't care if I shaved. I mean, there's no makeup going on. I mean, I am the real deal. You either take me as I am. I just don't care anymore.
It seems like the makeup companies would have went out of business, don't it?
Yeah, but I think I cured myself of a lot of that because I stopped watching television. I stopped watching commercials. I stopped watching the news. So I stopped being afraid of everything. And I felt like I stopped being told what I was supposed to be afraid of. Or what I was supposed to get all like up in arms about and be all patriotic. This, I can't get behind your wars, man. Sorry. Just not going to be my thing ever.
I'm actually to the point where if they tell me there's a wall, the wall is in Mexico, and I'm like, if I don't touch it, I don't believe it. I don't believe anything anymore. It's like,
I don't know if there's ever going to be a wall there or not. I mean, I don't know if this reality, if the one that I'm having from this point of view, if, that talking about suggestibility, it fits all in with what we call subjective reality, which is something that's being proven in physics today. More and more our physicists and scientist type people are saying our reality is a subjective one. What does that mean? It means we're co-creators. We are creating our reality. So like you could tell me what your reality is. I could say, well, I'm sorry, I don't believe any of that. But it doesn't make your reality untrue. You see, because you created that reality.
In a lesson, it's definitely a huge lesson because man, go to someone else's house and they're like, oh, well, no, we always flip the lid on the toilet seat down because that is what is right. And so now when you start seeing your reality, it comes into what is right and what is wrong. What is right. And so what I'm seeing a lot of people is for you to be good and for you to be right, I have to be bad and I have to be wrong. And that's their reality. I can't just be me. And I can't just have my thoughts and opinions. I have to be like you and think like you and act like you and do exactly what you do, or else I'm bad and I'm wrong and I'm your enemy. And I think that's a part of the thing we were talking about is that's a part of that separation where, I don't even talk to Lisa anymore and I'm deleting her from Facebook and she's not and she's no longer invited to the cookouts, even though I think a lot of people use the issues of COVID to enforce some stuff that they already feel like. I told my friend, I said, your neighbor didn't not let you come over because you didn't have on a mask. She just don't like you. You would notice if I liked you, like, hey, all right, I might move over a little bit and be like, oh, but I know you don't have your mask on, but I'm just enforcing it. I really just don't like you. So we're just finding ways to not like each other and not be kind to each other and not talk to each other. And I don't know, to separate ourselves even more from each other because I'm right and you're a monster.
I remember at the beginning of COVID, my mom lives in a senior building. And there was probably like maybe 5 or 6 of us standing talking, just some other people that lived in the building. And it was so fascinating and it was cool because I'd just been talking to my mom about how everybody has a point of view, a perspective that they're working from, and this is all based on their life experience, how they were raised, the environment they were in, the beliefs that they came to understand, and that's become their reality. And we were talking about how you could talk to all these different people and everybody's going to have a very unique thing. And we stood in this circle. Oh, look at that. Is that in the background? You're like a ghost. That's cool.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. Anyway, okay.
But we all we went one person to the other, and everybody was talking about their opinion. And my mom's just looking at me like, wow, we were just talking about that. And every single person, well, I just think everybody should wear a mask. And the next person, I don't care. And my dad told me this. And I just, from that moment forward, I'm like, everybody's right. You're right. Next person, right.
Because I honestly do see both sides of it.
But you're supposed, whatever happened, I feel like an old person when I say stuff like this, but there used to be a time when we could have this honest, open, intelligent discourse where we could have a conversation instead of it becoming, well, you're I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm anti-Pfizer. I'm you just put this shit together in a 5-minute period. You're not injecting it into me. Thank you very much. But no, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's just, everybody, you all, if you want to if you want to sign up and volunteer to be the guinea pig, I don't hold that against you. I don't think there's anything wrong with you if you want to vaccinate. But why can't we just have a solid conversation that's just rational? Everybody has decided they've got this narrative that they've got to stick with. They can't, even within my own family, and especially in the beginning, I would bring up, well, I have all these doctor friends and I'm having all of these conversations and they have these concerns. Oh, you couldn't bring any of this up. It was just like I was speaking of witchery or something, and there's been a lot of people that get demonized for this kind of thinking. But I think for me, it just comes from, I'm very much like you, Erika, in the sense of I could see all sides of things. And sometimes it takes me a minute to get there. I might have a reaction to something, but I will always come back around and say, are you being suggestible to yourself?
I don't think 324 million people think what you think.
Yeah, I mean, and if we are truly connected as one and we're all just all these different expressions, then how can you put down yourself? You know what I mean? You're acting like we're all, separate, unique souls, not having this collective experience, and we are. But I just, I can't with it's funny. Is this the last vestiges of religion trying to hang on to the last tendrils and roots it's got in society? Because all the statistics show us that the numbers of people attached to religion it's dwindling, it's dying down, right? But is that what it is? It's like we got to get the last hurrah in before this thing dies. I don't know, because we're getting ready to shift.
I think people are, here it is. There we go. We talked about this. When you have been in a cult all your life, you have cult thinking. So when you leave that cult, you got to find a new one. And whether that be multi-level marketing or masks propaganda or, whatever it is, people like being in groups, and I like to be a part of a group, and I like acceptability. Yeah. I like being accepted. They got experiments about this where they went through the school and they were the thing with the A's, like you get an A if you tell on somebody for doing XYZ. I forget what the name of that experiment was. I'll look it up, but it was an experiment done in the school to where even the teachers, certain teachers were for it, certain were against it, but the children had gotten so involved in it that it got really threatening. Just like the Stanford experiment where when people get on that team, I like the Stanford experiment too. That one where they pretended it was a prison. It was really just the school. And these people actually got to the point where they were stripping people naked and actually abusing them and taking away their mattresses and not feeding them and how do you say, exerting power over them when this was just an experiment where you made $5 a week and you could just see how they had just gone so far off the rails. Why? Because I'm on this team. And then the guys who were pretending to be inmates were on this other team, and it became volatile and traumatic. Like a lot of those people were suffering from mental anguish after that. They were traumatized from being in a 2-week experiment. One boy, he had someone visit within a week. He cried and begged to get out of the experiment. This is a 2-week experiment. So they've already recorded reactions to group think and group responses to the point where it's already known how bullying works. And it's amazing how we can be against bullying, you know, in school because bullying is bad, but we're doing it like every day now, right? To make you do exactly what I want, you know? So.
Well, yeah, I mean, these kids are only a reflection of society and their parents. So, you know, a child doesn't get born into the world hating another human being or not accepting other colors, races, religions, different kinds of people from different classes, different cultures. That's learned behavior. That's all learned behavior.
You can watch Third Wave, that a documentary about Third Wave. That's what it was called, because they were trying to figure out how people became Nazis. Like, how did they, you know, how did regular people just become a part of this? And this was,
yeah. How did you just stand up and say, yeah, okay, I'll do that?
right. Well, when you make people feel like they're right, if I can give you an A for doing this, and now you feel superior, that's a huge amount of suggestibility that, hey, if I give you an A, you're better.
Well, you know,
we already know this with the school system now too, right? Because if you put somebody in a learning disability class, or you put them in this class, or if they're in the popular group, or if they play football, they're not necessarily good people because they play football or the cheerleaders. That's usually the people that end up being the mean girl, right? Or the mean boy. And they're the ones that do the bullying, but they can do no wrong in front of the teacher. So, you know, it's this reward system for, I don't know, crushing out of somebody else's soul. I don't know. And they got a reward system built in. So.
Well, that's definitely a show. I want to dedicate like a really good long session on that one, because there's so much more to it, like NLP, neuro linguistics programming. Yes. I want to talk about that. I mean, that's all part of it. And, you know, it'd be nice to kind of have some tools to know how to like block yourself from those kinds of messages. I guess part of what I'd want to discuss and explore and learn about myself is how can we be less suggestible to our own selves. You know, like I know when I'm reacting and it's almost like I'm working through like old unresolved trauma. That's suggestibility right there. There was like a strong suggestion that happened at the point of that, where that abuse or that trauma took place. Mm-hmm. I want to learn how to turn that off, so that I'm not still that, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old having that experience. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I would like to shut that off.
Yeah.
Because our brains are we have neuroplastic brains. We can reshape our brains, and we can, you know, these thoughts that we have that are negative on the inside, that were sort of programmed into us from a long time ago. That's all stuff that can be reshaped and new neural pathways created so that we have new positive thought patterns. And that doesn't mean we're never going to have a negative thought again, but we know what to do with that. That's the kind of work I want to do, is empowering.
And we're expressing our own thoughts and not something that was passed down to us.
Right. We're not, you know, just expressing our
regurgitating
through a regurgitated agenda a narrative that belongs to somebody else. You know, a lot of the stuff that, like, there are times when I think we've all been through this as adults, you know, when we're doing our work, where you'll do something or something will come out of your mouth and you'll be like, oh wow, that's just like my dad. That sound like my grandma. Or that sound like my mama. And then you have to ask yourself, and like, is that you? Are you like all on board with this because that's just what you were taught? Or, like, get together with your authentic self and connect with that and decide, where do you come in to this authentically? And
I like that you said that too. And then that's too. Is that what we like? I noticed this. I have an issue like when my mom is she doesn't like church, and she quit going when I was little, but she's caught between like Africa history and then Christian religion, where she's still kicking out a lot of Christian, like ultra Christian beliefs, where she's calling one thing witchcraft or saying certain things. And I'm like, wait a minute, you can't even, this stuff is so ingrained in you and it's so complex where you have 3 different belief systems and you're just all over the place.
It's confusing.
Like, you're just throwing out this because this one addresses this and this. It's really confusing.
Yeah.
Really confusing her thought process. I'm like,
and a lot of it probably it's not even, it's her parents' stuff. It's not even her stuff.
And I used to be big on that. My mama always said when I was a teenager and I went out on my own, my mom said this, my mom said that. My mom always told me, it was like, oh God, did you hear yourself? Really? That you constantly just.
What does Erika say?
I have no idea because I had no experience.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. One of the things that I left out, like a huge chunk of my bio in the beginning, was I fairly recently graduated from a year-long program. I was studying in a clairvoyant mediumship. And that's another session I would love to do where I can teach people who join us how to enact tools. And one of those tools that's a really, really helpful thing is to be able to identify what kind of energy you got in your field, whether it's a thought, whether it's something going on in your environment, or you're trying to figure something out. There's a way to scan it, and is it if it's black energy, it's somebody else in your field, and you got to clear that stuff up. And if it goes white, the teaching that I had was that white is you're enmeshed here, you got to remove yourself. So that as we were learning how to read and do oracle readings, mediumship readings, we would have to get ourselves grounded. We would have to connect with the mother and the cosmos and clear all of that whole field out before we go messing in somebody else's field. So a lot of times we are going out in this world and we're just not prepared for what we're getting bombarded with. And people these are like everyday tools that we all need to protect ourselves, because just because you can't see energy, you may not be able to sense it with your physical senses, or you may be just completely distracted. There's a lot of things that we get bombarded with all the time. And I mean, it's going to change everything in your life when you start running your own energy all the time, when you start clearing your field of other people's stuff, and then you clear up your own stuff. It's just, everything is different. Even the people that you encounter, the people that they thought they knew you, all of a sudden you're a different person. And they will begin to ask you questions like, what's going on? What have you done? Have you cut your hair? They'll ask you questions about like, what are you doing different? Well, I'm just running my own energy, pal. It's great. I can show you how. So that's one class. What other kinds of things, or not class, so one live session. What other kinds of things do you want to talk about, Erika? I mean, I know we had a poll in the Light Workers Union, and people wanted to talk about parallel universes. I'm totally on that
Yeah,
subject.
that you need a scientist for that. Like, I'm not.
I watch a lot of Paranormal Rising, and then I just do kind of my own channeling of what I'm getting. And long before it became popular to talk about the fact that there's no such thing as a past life where it's all happening at once because there is no time, I've been feeling that for a very long time, and it felt weird to even talk about it as past life, which is another great subject. I would love to
Okay,
talk
so yeah,
more about
past
life
life.
between life. I would like to talk about the fact that because of the shifting that's taking place on this planet and us moving in from 3-4 to 4-5 dimension, there's all these bleed overs happening. There are time slips happening. I don't know if any of you are experiencing it, but I am having glitches left and right. I'm having a hard time even coming out of the dream state. The dream state often feels more real to me than this reality. There's just some very, very interesting, like more and more people are reporting. I believe that this veil is dropping. And I mean, there have even times when I've looked up into the sky and I could see like a pixelation in like a section of the sky just disappeared. And I'm like, what, dude? Is somebody at the control booth not paying attention? You got to fill that pixel in over there. I started making a joke out of it. And sure enough, it just popped right back in a second later. What the heck's going on there, Matrix? So, there's matrixy stuff I want to discuss. Paranormal things, that's always very interesting to me. I think we're starting to learn much more about how that's all connected in ways that we really never understood. Those are the kinds of things I want to talk about when it comes to the paranormal.
Yeah, you're a wise woman, more experienced than me. I love the idea of suggestibility, neural linguistics, the ideas of polarity. I would like to explore even the idea, the thought that some of the gender identity bleed over from past lives. Like, I honestly think that
I really want to talk about that too.
I've been a man most of my past lives. So
I think so too.
Male thinking thoughts that I'm like, I used to tell people like I'm a white man. So I used to tell people like I am a white man. And then I was like, okay, in my very last life, I was a white man. I was. So I was like, oh shoot, I didn't know it. I just would say things like, I said things like, my son is the first man I ever loved. Oh, well, we were married once and I've been his mom, his dad, he's been my uncle. So I'm like, sometimes I find us saying things that are truer than we know. And we're just saying these things. So definitely how past life may affect gender, past lives affecting this life. Past lives in general. And then here's, with polarity, here it is, the game. I always explain it like Wreck-It Ralph. Like in the game, I have to play the bad guy. And then for you, I have to be the bad guy. Sometimes for me, I'm the bad guy and you're the good guy. Like we're constantly switching roles. There is no absolute, you are good and I am bad. That's a big thing that I like to talk about. We
trade those roles all the time in our life.
Swapping places without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
So a swap and pay, let's talk about belief and how we can break some of these limitations on our, because we have limiting beliefs. And like you were talking about, I think another topic you were saying is basically shadow work. Like, why aren't people, you're putting your hands on people and you're trying to fix everybody, but you got a lot going on and you're kind of funky and icky and you're putting your hands on someone else, Or then how about this too, us as spiritual leaders, that want to create followers instead of trying to help people find their own path. Because a lot of people are getting a real kick on having followers. Really, I don't want the responsibility of anybody else's sovereignty. Because this year I've taken a vow to say, when someone says, what do you think I should do? I don't know. I think you should think about it. I think you should, come up with that solution, because guess what? I'm not responsible for your sovereignty, for your salvation, for your healing, for your thoughts. I'm not responsible for your beliefs. I'm not responsible.
Be careful with that, because I'm with you on that. Like I don't want to interrupt people's journey. I really don't.
Boom. And you can't take people out of the 3rd grade and try to put them in high school, can you?
No.
I think sometimes, there's this thing going on where people can't help but give you their opinion and their thoughts. And it's like, sometimes you can just shut the fuck up. And I'm going to say it just like that, because you can just shut
Listen.
Because some people, they just
Okay.
talk and they could see you. And sometimes, guess what? If I come to your house today and you're struggling with this, my next week, you might figure it out, or you might find a way. And I'm not have to have this self-importance where because people are not really seeing the other part of it. You're saying the part about the helping, but you're not seeing the part where you think you're so self-important that you can fix everybody else's problems, when maybe you could take your ego down a notch or two and not try to fix everything and change everything and wave your magic wand on someone else's life. So
Lisa wants to speak to that.
Boom. Is it a hallelujah? Well, thank you, Jesus.
No, I don't want to speak to it. I just happen to know all about it.
Doesn't she already?
Oh, yeah.
It's very tiring. Because if I see
my ego.
sometimes you watch your kids and you can back up when they're playing the little games and whatever, and you don't have to be like, go over here, do this, do it. Like, I don't have to do that. I can let him figure it out on his own. And I think maybe that's why a lot of people have issues with their parents, and their parents have issues with them. My mom says, I hate telling you stuff because you never listen. It's not my job to listen. I need to listen and evaluate and decide for myself if that's what I want to do. And then I can, and you have to back off, just back off. You don't have to fix everybody's life. I know a lot of crazy people. I don't have to be involved in their life. I have another friend that's like she's like a psychic and a counselor, and she gets mad when the phone rings and she's like, oh, they just always calling me with their problems. I said, but you chose that role.
She trained them to do
because
that.
You already always was in their business. I mean, limit how much. Lisa or Leslie, I only ask certain questions if I'm truly interested. And I don't want to get deep into your love life or your relationships or your job woes, because I don't mind people. We can download and we can talk, but if I don't want to I don't want to scratch up the surface of everybody's stuff. You notice you ever have a conversation, you can mention one thing like, oh yeah, I met this new guy, and they're like, oh, they got to ask you all these questions because they're digging, because they got to do all this research because they're going to try to tell you if this guy is good for you or not. Well, it is really none of your business. I'm gonna go through this process. I feel uncomfortable that you're asking me all these questions, and I'm just gonna live this out and see what happens. Because I just want to figure it out on my own, instead of you suggesting all these negative things to make me doubt my relationship or doubt this and doubt that. Like, oh, okay. Can I just be me and just do me and just, I used to have a problem with this too, because I would go on these dates when I went to church, and they would say, what's your 5-year plans, your 10-year plans? Why are you wasting these ignorant ass questions?
I don't even know what I eat for breakfast in the morning.
Don't even, and you don't know me, and you're just trying to dig this 5-year, 10-year plans to what? To sound lofty and intelligent and to give off this perception. And
like a resume.
It was just so icky to me. Like, I have to jump through a hoop and do a backflip and do a handstand, because guess what? My 5-year plans might not be as magnificent as you think they should. So you can judge me. I'm going to lay it all out for you to judge me. You don't even know me.
Thanks.
Breakfast. I hated it. I'm going to buy the day by the moment, but my birth card is the moon and the hermit. So I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just mostly just doing it. So I'm just, if you try to ask me like, Erika, what are you going to do with all your jewelry? Oh, don't make me freak out, because now I'm about to think about like, I don't know. I'm just making it because it makes me happy.
No, one thing I recognized about you is if there's an uncomfortable thought for you, you don't want to go there. I don't want to cry today. She don't want to watch nothing that I suggest will make her cry.
Yeah. Like I had a
I love that about you because you know what you can handle. You
Yeah.
say to yourself, nope, I am not crying today. Me, on the other hand, I'm so with grief, it's like a full-time job, really. And if you got to go work a full-time job, when do you have time to grieve? So I would like, it's hard to move back and forth into that state when you know you have emotions you need to work through. So I will literally put something on that will make me cry on purpose.
Okay, if you feel that way, but when I'm making jewelry, I know I've got light codes going on in my jewelry and healing and joy.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like Water for Chocolate. Have y'all read that book or saw the movie?
Yes.
She would cook, her love and spirit would go.
Yes.
Through. But if when she was sick, she had to do that wedding, and it was like her sister, I think, was marrying the man that she wanted, or she wasn't going to be allowed. And she was so sad, she cried in the food. It made everybody sick. It was amazing. It was really gross. But yeah, that's my whole explanation. Like I watched
Talk about suggestibility,
1 through
right?
9 of Seinfeld, 1 through 9, over and over and over and over again. Because number one, is too many choices on what to watch. If I watch something new, it's going to distract me. And I know that I can turn around and watch Seinfeld real quick and chuckle, like, aha, George is stupid. Anyway, you know, and
I know what you mean. I feel like that. Mine is Friends. I always watch
yeah,
Friends.
it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
All 9 seasons.
It's also like it's like comfort food, you know.
There you go.
Tomato soup and grilled cheese.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's still other things. I definitely want to have guests come on, people that are practitioners, people that maybe just have a collection of wisdom that they would like to get out there and connect with other people about and have discussions.
In this case, people like you who have been in this life for so long, what have you released since 2020 is a good topic to ask, or a question for each one of those people. Like you,
or what do you need? Like, can
50,
we help
20
you?
years.
Is there something we can help you to launch? Because like me, I'm just like this podcast, me making the decision to do this in part is to help launch me and all these other things that I've been doing nothing but just talk about for years. It's time to just do it and get myself out there, get moving with all of these different things, including my art. I want to do healing work. I want to do hypnotherapy. And I want to live much more sustainably and live more rurally in the country. I'm looking to change my living situation. And I think there's a lot of people that are trying to move into those same kinds of directions. You know, it may not look like my life, but there's, a lot of people that just are ready to pick up stakes and change their life and create the kind of homestead life, the home environment that is copacetic with an evolving human being. I don't want my life to be about any of this third dimensional crap. I really I'm done with all of the politics. I have divorced myself from all of those things many years ago. And it doesn't even feel right to live where I'm living anymore. I'm ready to move into a space that's more natural. I would love to be able to travel more. And I want to create a platform where other people that are, want to talk about like their services and what they're offering. And, maybe there's going to be other people watching where they can connect with new clients. I just feel like we need to help each other with all of these things because it doesn't necessarily come natural to everybody. Like I have big mental blocks because of my upbringing. And like the constant message growing up in my household was, we don't do those kinds of things. We don't run businesses. And, you know, there was like a trend or a pattern of getting very close to, like, literally my uncle got to the last paper he had to turn in for his master's degree, and he didn't get it because he didn't turn it in. And so, you know, I'm trying to like move past that sort of stigma attached to the to that family history, you know, that like I feel like I'm healing some ancestral lines right now, because this has been something that's generational. It's not just like my mom, it goes way back. And I'm pretty sure I came here to like bust some balls and break some old traditions and bring out some new positive ways of being in the world. And we don't have to be, you know, if you look into, that's another, this could be another show, another subject on epigenetics. We don't need to be carrying all this ancestral trauma and baggage with us. You know, we talked about being able to separate out what's mine, what's this other person's stuff. We're not just carrying the stuff that's all going on all around us. We're actually carrying our ancestral things too. And it's time for us to heal that. And I'll tell you what, when you heal, because there is no time, you're healing it all through the line. And it's instantaneous and it's magical. And I highly recommend that if you want to wake yourself up, you start doing work on your ancestral line. You will have some seriously cool results. It's definitely not just about you or your parents. It's everything that came before. I think we kind of, especially when we're going through the different lives, you know, how you said, I've been my son's mother, I've been his father, I've been his wife, I've been his brother. We keep kind of doing the same dance with the same people because we are working out group karma together. So, you know, it's kind of cool that when you actually put yourself, you know, into the mix of doing this kind of shadow work, that you can heal all the way down the line.
This is good because this brings up the whole thing too, because we're so trapped in our earthly relationships, kind of not really understanding, like, you are the mother, you are the mothership. Our relationships with our children and our own mother, we have contracts, so we need to talk about contracts, and we need to talk about
Another good show, yeah.
Contracts, because a lot of people feel like this responsibility to the mother or to the child, when it's like, I get it. I love my son, but I know what he's this little stubborn joker. He gonna do what he wants to do, right? So I can give him all the tools because that was my job as the mothership, is to download as much as I can. But you know, he got his own assignment, he got his own downloads, he's got his own, and so I don't have to see myself as a failure when he goes out on his missions to do what he does.
And even when he makes mistakes, you don't have to, because it's all part of it.
See it as failure. I don't have to go to my mom for everything that she did. Like, I can do the healing stuff and express some of that, but I don't have to hold it all over her head because she's fulfilling a contract. Her higher self and my higher self are arguing in the astro. Like, I have to do this. I see it as a cartoon in my head. I have to do this because Erika's destiny is to be strong and to be this and be that. And if I didn't psycho brutalize her, I didn't fucking traumatize her, you know, she wouldn't go out into the world and be strong. Like, what if me and my mom were, you know, always hugging and loving, and I was like really easily adopted on her mindset, then I would be a whole different person. I would be like, you know, like, oh, I would just be, you know, her little robot, you know. But our decision to have this type of relationship is something bigger than what we're seeing right here on the surface, because she's got a higher self and she's got a job. So I can still honor her for completing her mission and doing the job and understand that, okay, are, mission complete. I am.
I feel a responsibility to like not fix my mom, but whatever I can do to help her get to a place of more peace before, because they're at the end. This is the last chapter, and I'm moving into that last chapter of my life myself. And we actually just had a conversation, something I won't get too deep because it's just too personal, but it's just important for you to do as much of this work that you can. And you can't do it for anybody else as long as you got somebody willing. And so, like for her birthday, she's getting all kinds of great books to support her, give her like open her mind up to new possibilities. Because like she has, like, to me, like she comes from a different generation. Yep, she's setting her ways just the same as I'm setting my own ways. But the thing that I do love about my mom is she's like, so like, she doesn't necessarily have to like agree. She's open, and she might be like a little standoffish about something, but she's willing to explore the possibility. But I don't care how old you are. There's people have stuff that they need to heal, and it's almost like we spend a life, the first part of our life stacking up all this stuff, and then we spend the rest of our life unraveling it all and trying to heal it. But the good news is, I feel like the place that we're in energetically, interdimensionally, all that stuff. I don't know what terms to use. I'm not that kind of a person. I don't have all the fancy names, but all I know is everything is possible in the quickest, most dramatic, coolest, instantaneous way. Like you can literally just ask for help on, like, say you're trying to launch a business you don't know anything about. You could literally ask your guidance team to send you an entity that's going to be a consultant to help you with that. And you will instantly begin to get information about what you need to do to launch this business and be successful. As long as it's in your highest good, all you've got to do is ask for the help. Remember when I first met you, Erika, and we talked about how you had a high life in your field? There you are. There's definitely a lot of help from the ethereal that we need to tap into. And I want to talk about those kinds of things too.
Ooh. And you can explain what you say a high life is. Because
Yes.
that's something I never heard before.
It was new to me when I learned it in the teaching that I just experienced about a year ago. I finished that 1 year long education. A high life is where you would take the characteristics of that life and it gets planted into your field. Like say in the 13th century, maybe you were an alchemist, or perhaps you were a 19th century barrister, and you're having some, before you came here and to fulfill this contract, you actually had a conversation with your own higher self and agreed to install all of that wisdom and that information from that life so that you could access it in this life expression. So I felt when I met you that you actually had 3 in your field. And I'd never seen that before.
Wow.
So that was kind of fun.
So 3 agreements, 3. Okay.
It's all you. It's all like other life expressions, other past lives.
Oh, okay. Right? Okay. It would be like if I was a baker. What did they say? The butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, and all 3 said, "Hey, take us with you. You're gonna need on this trip. Okay.
You're gonna need all those characteristics in your life to fulfill the contract that you agreed to."
Because you said, I can't tell you a list of all the places that I worked ever. No, I even worked at a shoe repair.
God, I've done so many different things too.
Let's do that.
I was like auto parts delivery. I ran a bowling alley coffee shop, little diner. I was the cook, the waitress, the cashier, everything. I had a babysitting empire before I ever had my first job.
Oh, wow.
I lived in an apartment complex where there was I think it was 172 units. And I got so busy that I started having to turn people away. So I hired my friends. I'd take a cut. I'd say, I got a job for you, but I need 10% for the referral. I was like a little capital venture person, little entrepreneur. I had like a babysitting empire. My mom used to borrow money from me.
Oh, wow.
It was funny. Now, see, I was a good business person even when I was 12, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that
When I was little, I used to want to imitate our game. They were always putting up a sign for 5 cents. They was like, we're gonna make a circus. I was like, our gang just had me like, hey, we can go outside and put a sign and make some money.
we were always trying to figure out how to make money growing up too.
Yeah.
Lemonade stand. What other things we did? Bake sales. Always making like brownies and bread and cookies. And we had library clubs, UFO clubs. And somebody would have a slumber party every weekend. And we would be like we had agreements with our neighbors, like, yeah, you can teepee the house, but you're gonna have to clean it up tomorrow. It was a whole different kind of life. I mean, if kids did that today, they'd be arrested. It's kind of sad. I wish that there was a freer, easier way of life for our kids. I remember telling my kids about my childhood, and my oldest was very sensitive, and Cole would just cry and cry and cry. Why can't I have a childhood like yours? Poor kid. He just wanted a fort. He wanted a neighborhood fort that he could go hang out at. We had like 7 of them growing up. But now if you let your kid out playing by themselves, they get kidnapped and molested. So you can't do stuff like that anymore. Very, very different, scary world.
Well, sounds great. It sounds like we have an endless supply of things in the future, and then just allowing other people to be able to talk, like a place to talk without.
Yeah, let's
I actually want to be as offensive as possible sometimes, so I don't know.
So I'd like to probably do this somewhere around every couple of weeks or so. Stay in a rhythm, a routine of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what our next topic is going to be. It'll definitely be more focused, not so all over the place like this was. Yeah. Both of us have ADD, so this should be fun, huh?
That's okay.
So yeah, I think let's wrap. This has been great. I really enjoyed chatting it out. Thank you so much.
Watching us on YouTube, please comment. If you watching on YouTube, because there was about 4 people on there watching us on YouTube Live.
Oh, were there? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Like now I'm all self-conscious about it.
Yeah.
No, it'll be cool.
I'm like the government. I'm watching you and I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What lies beneath. So we will probably be back. I'm not sure about the day or the time yet, but we'll make the announcement. And we will also pick a subject in like the next few days. And
if anybody wants to find you or email you or whatever,
yes.
Find you, do you have what information do you have for people?
You can email me at ltelto, and that's L like love, T Tom, E Edward, L love, T Tom, O Oscar, E Edward @outlook.com.
Okay.
Just my name, my first initial and my last name.
Are you single?
I
Are you looking?
am single and happy.
Okay, she's single and happy. All right.
I mean, I'm single and happy, but I'm open.
Hey.
I just don't really want to give up my sovereign space at this point, but hey, I don't mind. I would not turn away companionship.
Hey.
And you are not single.
No, I'm not. I'm in the beginning of a happy, blissful normal
So happy for you.
relationship. It's so weird. Like somebody who didn't try to move in with you or need help, you know? So it feels good. No.
He hasn't, you have not mentioned any crowding whatsoever.
No crowding.
No, like codependent crazy crap. I love
no
it.
crazy. No. You know, it's awful when you're like trying to do fun things with your life. And like, I can get so crazy that I'll do jewelry till 7 a.m. or something like that. Or I'll even be on the phone and stuff. And that, you know, people say, well, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to do that? And, you know, be in your
Why
face.
do you fucking care?
Yeah, can you just let me be me? But then I'm also observing how I'm letting go of this other thing. We should talk about that. Where I have been so codependent that I have attracted people who are needy because I have been codependent. So you get yourself used because you're codependent.
Yeah.
But you want so much attention, you end up with a needy person. So here you got, you're both are sucking the life out of each other because you want somebody.
I definitely want to do
Your
a
freaking
session
sidekick.
on that, talking about what kind of signal we're sending to people.
Right. So just imagine someone who just, you know, comes over when you say they can, and then, you know, you don't have to swallow them whole in the first day. When you get, you know how you get to know people and you binge, you don't have to binge on a person.
Oh, that sounds so nice to like slowly get to know someone and like, you know, it's like eating fine food, you know, where you just savor all the flavors as they come.
And then, so because I'm coming from where I had someone who gave me so much freedom, I could maybe not see them in a week, to someone who was just in your face, and they're like, "Are you okay? Are you happy? Are you?" And you're like, "Ah, get out of my face!" So it's like, oh, there actually is a balance. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's a balance. So yeah, that's definitely some interesting new shit for me. So I get to be crazy and talk to my friends, and
I like it.
yeah.
But that's like a compliment to you, honey, because you're sending a signal out that says that, you know, this is the kind of energy I want. And I think the best advice I have ever heard when it comes to seeking out a good, healthy partnership is become the person you want to be with.
Right. And I'm a person with things to do and things on my mind, and I have my interests. And
so you're being your authentic self. You're not,
you could be conscious and not force a person who's not in the awakening community. That's another thing. How about people who are awakened and awoke and psychic or gifted, and then they could just be with a regular person who has their own interests, and you don't mess with mine and I don't mess with yours, and maybe one day
I know actually
and be, you know, better than me or whatever, but I can have comfortable, friendly conversations that have nothing to do with religion.
I know a lot of people who have like polar opposite partners, and they do smashingly well.
Right. Because there's a lot of judgment about that right now. I think COVID made it so that people are like, you're either in or you're out. It's like, people want to leave their husbands and their wives, and it's like they have absolutely zero tolerance. And I was like, is that really love? That's not love.
Yeah. I mean, you can't even get a hold of a divorce attorney these days. They're hard to find.
Yeah.
They're busy.
So to reach me, I'm at thefirstladyerika.com. And that's the first is 1ST. So the first 1ST, Lady Erika with a K. I'm strong. It's German. Firstladyerika.com. Yeah.
And so it's not the first lady, it's just first lady.
No, the first lady.
It is. So
Yeah.
THE 1 STLADY. At what?
No, Erika, Erika.
Oh, Erica
Oh,
at,
gmail.com. Yeah, at gmail.com.
okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
almost was doing the website. Even the website is at thefirstladyerika.com. So,
And then of course I'm on Facebook. You could message me on Facebook as well.
same thing.
Okay. Well, I'm so
Awesome.
glad you all came and had so much fun. And I look forward to doing this next time for sure. Can we do that like CCO play me? Come
Okay.
and play with
I was
me.
about Color Purple.
Oh yeah, I don't know that one, but I like that one better. That's like one of my favorite
Maybe
movies.
we'll learn how to do it in real life. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Have a good night.
All right, everybody.